All right, so today we are going to start a new topic. The most important topic, and will be one of the most important topic, I should say, is the data assimilation. Okay, data assimilation. We have talked about this earlier in parts, like whatever observations we collect or we get from all over the world, that has to be processed, quality controlled, and assimilated in the model to prepare a good initial condition. Okay, because NWP is a initial value problem, so we have to have a very good initial condition for that. And in order to make the good initial condition, we assimilate the data which comes every day, every 3 hourly or 6 hourly, depending on the type of data, into the model. Okay. But before we assimilate the data, as you know, the data which comes globally from all over the earth, they're all scattered in space, okay, randomly scattered in space. Whereas when we run the model, we have regularly spaced grid points, okay, like this. Let me also use the pointer, laser pointer, okay. So this is a typical grid of a model, and these are the locations of the observation. These points, they represent the observation location. So the first thing that we do before we can assimilate the data is, of course, after the quality control, etc., that you have already studied how the quality control is done, the CQC, etc., because the observations can contain all kinds of errors. So the errors have to be removed, okay, before we can assimilate them. But after we remove the errors, then these data observations are scattered in space. And these observations have to be interpolated to these regular grid points of the model. Okay. So this process of interpolation of the observations to regular grid points from randomly located places is called the objective analysis. Okay. And this is to incorporate random data to the regular grid points. So today we shall discuss how do we do that? How do we do the objective analysis, or how do we interpolate the data to the regular grid points? All right. So generally, there are 5-6 methods of objective analysis. Okay. The first one is the so-called function fitting method. It was proposed by Panofsky in 1949, okay, long back. Panofsky was a statistician, and this fitting method, as you see from the name, is basically a statistical technique, functional fitting method. Okay. The second way of interpolation or objective analysis is the empirical linear interpolation. Empirical linear interpolation. So let's discuss this one by one today. The third way is the successive correction method. Okay. The fourth one is the Cressman's scheme. The Cressman's scheme actually is one of the popular schemes of objective analysis. Like many models used to do this, use this scheme, Cressman's scheme. That also we shall discuss. In fact, successive correction method and Cressman's scheme are similar. They are iteration procedures. Okay. Then next one is Barnes scheme. Okay. All these are actually iteration methods in which we have a first guess of the values at all the grid points, and then we have got the observations which are scattered in space, and we try to interpolate the observations onto the regular grid point by some kind of iteration techniques. So these are basically different ways of iteration techniques. And finally, the so-called optimum interpolation scheme, or also is called the multiple optimum interpolation scheme. Okay, because it takes into account the multiple observations at a time to interpolate them onto the regular grid point. And actually, the last one is the one which used now or used to be very popular in the operational models. Okay, nowadays, many new schemes are also available based upon the variational techniques, variational estimation. That also we shall discuss later. But up to this, these are called the objective analysis method. Okay, objective analysis method, that means to interpolate the randomly scattered observations in a space onto the regular grid point of the model. Okay. Now let's discuss all these methods one by one. The first one, the Panofsky's fitting method. Okay, Panofsky's fitting method. Now in this method, the observations in an area are fit to a mathematical equation such as a polynomial equation. A third degree polynomial can be written as, for example, Pxy is equal to summation of all the points ij on the space times aij, that is the weightage given to the each observation xi yj for I plus j less than or equal to 3. That means for a small grid size, we can fit a polynomial, and this example is for a 3 by 3, a very small grid size, which is a very kind of idealistic, but just for illustration. We have fit a third degree polynomial where x and y are Cartesian coordinates, and aij are the coefficients. There are 3 by 3, 9 points plus 1 central, so 10 coefficients. The size of the area to which the polynomial is to be fitted will depend on how many of the observations are to be explored. Okay, we shall discuss it more in detail later. That we have to consider a so-called radius of a scan. Okay, a third degree polynomial shown above will exactly fit 10 observations without any smoothing. Okay, the coefficients are obtained by using the methods of least squares, where the number of observations is more than the coefficients. Okay, so if you have very few observations and a small grid size, say about 10 observations, then you can use a third degree polynomial like that. But you know that you have millions of observations, all kinds of observations are there. So we have to use much better technique for interpolation. The solution of a cubic polynomial is to 10 normal equations, which are to be solved as simultaneous equations. Okay, to obtain the data or observations at the grid points. The procedure generally takes considerable computing time. In fact, each part of the endogamy takes considerable computing time, including the data assimilation, physical parameterizations, and so on. So that was the first way of objective analysis. Okay. The second way is the empirical linear interpolation. Now, in this method, the model grid points values are derived using the values of the variable from nearby locations. Okay. The basic form of the linear equation is x at the grid point is equal to summation 1 to m, where m is the number of observations, hj times xoj. Okay. Where x grid is the interpolated grid point value, hj is the scalar weight at point j, xoj is the observation value at the point j, and n is the number of observations. Okay. So it is up to us that how many observations we should consider, or how far away from the point of interest we should go. Okay. For example, let me go back to the diagram that I showed you earlier just now. Say in this diagram, Suppose we are trying to interpolate the observation at the grid point, right? Now we see that there are so many observation points around this grid point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So it is up to us that now how far away from this grid point we should go. That means how many observations away from this grid point of interest we should consider. Should we consider all the observations in this domain, or should we consider only the observations which are, say, at a particular distance from the grid point? Okay, so that is up to us. Say, for example, for this grid point or for this grid point, anyway, there are no observations around this here, right? So we have to anyway consider the points farther away from there, right? But points like this one, this one, this one, this one, okay, there are got many surrounding observations, and we can choose that how far away from this grid point we should go to consider the observations to interpolate onto this grid point, okay? And that is called the radius of a scan. How far we are going to scan from this point. Suppose these grid points are each, say, 100 kilometers apart. So we are considering a very big domain, right? 100 kilometers is nothing. I mean, if you have a mesoscale or finite scale model, we can have the grid size as 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers, but earlier the grid size used to be very coarse, or 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers or so. So how far away from this grid point we should go to consider the observations? Say, for example, if we have a grid point located in the university campus, let us say, we have configured a model grid in which one of the grid point is located at the university campus. Okay, now just think of that. Where are the observations points closest to the university campus? Okay, where are they? For example, the nearest is obviously Jaipur, right? Jaipur has a now full-fledged net observatory. There could be some observations also at Ajmer, because everywhere all kinds of observations may not be available. Like Jaipur will have everything, right? All kinds of surface observations. It will have also the radiation observations, right? But Ajmer may not have radiation. It may have just a surface observatory, or it may have just a AWS, automatic weather station, right? So likewise, how many stations around the university campus we should consider? How far away should we go? Should we consider the observations up to Delhi also? I mean, can the observations of Delhi influence the analysis of this campus? No, the grid point which is now located in this campus. Or how far away in the west side can we go up to Jodhpur? Can we go to Jaisalmer? No, can we go to Bikaner? I mean, everywhere there are observatories. Met observatories are there everywhere. I mean, some kind of observatories may not be all a class 1 observatory, but there can be class 2 observatory, there can be class 3 observatory, right? So how far we should go, right? So we have to decide a radius of scan. How far away from the point of interest we should scan the observation. It can be 500 kilometers. It can be, say, 1000 kilometers. It depends, right? If we consider 500 kilometers, I think Delhi will come automatically within this 500 kilometer range, because Delhi from this campus, I think, is about 360 or 400 kilometers. So if you consider the radius of a scan up to 500 kilometers, then all the observations now up to 500 kilometers in this radius from this point of interest will be covered, and we will consider them. Okay. Obviously, farther we go away from this location, lesser will be the influence of the observation on this point. A observatory which is closest to this grid point will have the maximum influence on this grid point, right? For example, the maximum influence of observations at this grid point will be from Jaipur. or Ajmer, because that is the closest to the campus. So observations from Jaipur and Ajmer will have the maximum influence here. Right? And obviously, so when we are calculating the weights, we are giving weightage to each of observations. We just mentioned that Hij are the weights of observations or weights given to the observations. Right? So farther away you go from this point of interest, lesser with the weightage of those observations. Right? Closer the observation locations, more will be the weightage. Right? A observation which is say located on Agra, for example, will have a lesser weightage compared to the observation which is at Jaipur or Ajmer. Right? So now you understand what is the radius of a scan? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Only one person is speaking. So radius of a scan is that how far away we are going to scan the area for the observations which are closest to the point of our interest. So for each of these grid points, when we are trying to interpolate on these points, obviously when there are no observations closest to these grid points, then the analysis will be almost same as the first case, right? Because before you start objective analysis, no, I mentioned that we have a first guess. We have a first guess of the value. Suppose you are interpolating temperature or a specific humidity or wind at all the grid points. Okay. So before we start interpolation, I mean, simple polynomial fitting is of course different thing. Just fitting the polynomial, but in all the iteration methods, which is generally done, in all the iteration methods, you start with the first guess of the values at all the grid points. Okay. So if you are trying to interpolate or do the objective analysis of the wind field, then you will have a first guess of the wind field at all the grid points. Okay. And that first guess comes from the 6-hour forecast from the previous cycle. Suppose if you are doing the analysis at 00 UTC, that is 5:30 in the morning. Okay. Then the 6-hour forecast, which is based upon the 18 UTC of previous day, that 6-hour forecast will be valid for 00 GMT of this morning, right? So that 6-hour forecast, whatever is the forecast, that will be used as the first guess values of the winds at these points. Okay. And then those values, because they are forecast and first guess, so they have to be corrected because there will be no error. They will not be accurate, right? They will not be accurate values at all the grid points at 00 UTC because they are the forecast from the previous cycle. And those first guess will have to be corrected based upon the observations which come. That is, the observations which are collected at 00 UTC. Right? So that's the way we correct the analysis or a first guess based upon the observations, current observations. Okay, and we iterate so that the errors are minimized. Okay, so now let's go back to the discussion. Okay, so the basic form of the linear equation is x at any given point is summation of 1 to m, where m is the number of observation, k h is the weightage, and x is the observation. Okay, this we have already discussed. The scalar weight hj is of the form hj is equal to wj divided by sum of all the weights for all the observations. Right? Again, I have to choose the pointer. Okay, so this is the weights given to each of those observation points. Where Wj is the weighting function applied to point j, and that the sum of all the hj equals 1. That means summation of all the hj is equal to 1 because suppose some observation is directly falling onto the grid point. The observation or observatory is directly coinciding or located on the grid point itself, then it will have the 100% weightage, right? 1. In that case, we assign the weight to be 1. Like that, some observations will have weightage of 80%, some will have a weightage of say 70%, some 50%, like that, depending on how far is the observatory from the location. So sum of all the weights will be 1. Okay. The weight function Wj can be determined in a number of ways, of which one method is to use empirically derived functions. The empirically derived weight functions use distance proportional weighting, in which observations that are closer to the grid point are given more weightage than that are farther away. That's what I just explained. That those which are farther away from the point of interest or the grid point we are trying to interpolate, now they will have a lesser weightage, and those which are closest to the grid point, they will have the higher weightage or larger weightage. The weighting function decreases with the distance, right? Observations farther away from may have little influence, so a threshold distance called the radius of influence is adopted in the calculation. I just try to explain that, right? Radius of influence, right? It can be say 200 kilometers, 500 kilometers, depends, right? How is your density of the observation? Closer observations have higher influence and unit weight for a coincident observation. I just explained that. Okay. So that was the second method. Third method is called the successive correction method. Successively we correct. Name implies that we successively correct the analysis. That means again a iteration procedure. Okay. A first guess field is assigned at all the grid points, preferably an earlier short range weather forecast from the NWP. As I just explained, the previous 6-hour forecast. Say, for example, if you are doing the analysis at 12 UTC, that means 5:30 in the evening, then the forecast based upon the 6 UTC, that means 11:30 in the morning for 6 hours, that is valid for 12 UTC, is the first guess. This is an iterative process in which the first guess will be modified using a linear weighting scheme to fit the grid point values to the observations repeatedly till the errors are within a specified tolerance limit. We define the errors that are the difference between analysis and the observation should be minimized. Let us say if you are trying to do the objective analysis of temperature, okay, and you know what is the order of the temperature, generally magnitude of the temperature. Generally, you know, we have an idea that how much should be the temperature. Like, for example, temperature at this time of the season, at your location, you have an idea that what is the temperature at a given time, right? Because you know, for example, now the temperature here in the campus could be about 35 degrees centigrade, right? So we define that the difference between the analysis and the observation, suppose if you have say 10 to the power minus 1, that converts so much that the difference between the analysis and observation is 10 to the power minus 1. That means is very accurate analysis. Okay, so threshold value. In this method, a first guess or background field is taken, and then the differences between the first guess and observations are calculated to obtain final grid point values through an iterative process. This method is useful for grid areas where observations are sparse. The steps are summarized below. Step number 1, estimate the background value at each observation point xbj using the first guess. Step number 2, calculate the difference between the background value and the corresponding observation value xoj minus xbj at each observation point, and this is called the prediction error, because your first guess is the 6-hour prediction from the past cycle, right? They are the predicted values at 6 hours. So they are the prediction errors, okay, in the 6-hour forecast in your first guess. Then calculate the prediction errors at each grid points using linear interpolation. Okay. So prediction error you calculated where, first of all, at the points of observation where your observations are located, there you calculated the prediction error, and then you interpolate those things to the grid points where you want to where you have the model grids. correct the grid point values based on the distributed errors. Okay, I mean, there are different ways. For example, either you can interpolate the error at the observation grid point, I mean, at the model grid point, or you can interpolate the first case value itself at the observation grid point. That is rather more accurate, because anyway, every time you make an interpolation, you will indulge into some error. You will have some error, okay, interpolation error. So our aim is to have minimum error, as minimum as possible, right? Minimum error. So correct the grid point values based on the distributed errors. And this is how the correction is found, or the value of the value at the grid point x at the iteration number, next iteration number k plus 1 equal to the previous value at that grid point at the iteration number k, sum of 1 to m, where m is the number of observation, xj weightage, xoj minus xbj. Xoj is the observation at the point j, and xbj is the background value at the point j, and k is the iteration step. Step number 5, repeat above steps until the values of all predicted errors is less than a predefined value. Right? As I said, depending on what you are going to analyze or interpolate, accordingly you have to assign the threshold value. For temperature is like
Hello.
See, my camera is not working after I try to reconnect. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, audio is fine, but since the camera is not activated, is not getting activated, and since the time is very less, so I don't want to figure out what happened. Because you have a class at 3:30, right? You have a class at
Yes,
3:30?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Maths class.
So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't want to spend time in configuring what happened to my camera. So I'll just speak because only a few slides are left, and I don't know where I got disconnected. Let me first of all try to present again. I present your entire screen. Share at this point, and anyway, recording is already on. So I don't remember where exactly I got disconnected. Let me go back to my previous slides. Where was I? Was I discussing the Barnes scheme or Kurtzman's scheme? Where was I? Can you tell me?
So
What is it?
before this,
Which one?
sir.
Oh,
No, before previous.
even before. I mean, Kurtzman's scheme I did not discuss at all. I mean, I was disconnected. Is it? This one? Oh my God. This I discussed all these points?
Yes, sir, we were here.
Okay. And after that, so successive correction we have discussed, and then Kurtzman I got disconnected, is it?
So we were discussing that only when your
Which one?
Yeah, started this, sir.
before this
Before this, my God.
successive one.
So, huh?
So the successive one.
Oh, I was discussing this one.
Yes, sir.
My God, my God. I see. Huh. So I think it will take me 10 minutes to complete today's part. I thought no, I will complete this part, today's part. So, whose class is that? Next class?
Sir, Jayanti ma'am.
Jayanti ma'am, and it's already 3:29. So I better than stop now because successive correction method, I hope I have completely discussed. Did I?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Well, even this also I did not completely discuss. I see. So if that is the case, then tomorrow I have to start again at successive correction method. What about at 4:30? Are you all ready for the 4:30 class today? I mean, I can discuss these things at 4:30 if you want, because I don't want to engage you when Madam will be waiting for you. What do you say? What do you want to discuss tomorrow?
Hello, sir.
Hmm?
Sir, I will not be able to attend, sir, at 4:30.
4:30 you will not be able to attend.
Yes, sir.
What about others? Do you want at 4:30 class today or tomorrow? Tell me. Nobody is speaking anything. So it says no one is interested at 4:30 today. Somehow, am I
4:30 is okay,
audible?
sir.
How many of you? 4:30 okay?
Yes, sir.
Harikatri says okay. I think Avani says okay. Who else?
Yes, sir, it's okay.
Sorry, Adira.
Yes, sir.
says okay. Others are all quiet. So if 4:30 is okay, then what I want is that I want to finish at least up to Barnes scheme today, so that tomorrow we can take up the multiple interpolation scheme. Will that be okay? तो ठीक है. So I stop here because only past 3:30. Right. I didn't know that I'm disconnected. So okay. So if so, then we stop for today. All right, and then meet at 4:30 again. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.